Hi everyone, and this is Emily Duplessis with Rental Rookie. On today's video, I'm actually going to be walking you through a recent renovation that my husband and I just completed on one of our rental properties. Now, the point and the goal of this video is to show you and to really kind of walk you through whenever we are either renovating a property that we already own or we're going and just looking at properties that are potential properties that we'd like to buy, right? A lot of times we're trying to get properties that are under market value, and a lot of times that may come with having to do some updates, having to do some cosmetic rehabs and those sorts of things. And so on this video, I really just want to walk you through kind of the 5-step process that my husband and I go through whenever we're about to tackle or we're looking into doing some sort of rehab. On this video, you're going to see that this is actually a page that I just created and that I wanted to share with all of you because I feel like it gives you a lot of value in terms of actually seeing us going through this process so that you can go with us. There are videos, there are pictures, there's all sorts of information here, numbers, figures, spreadsheets. All of this information can show you how we go about doing a rehab. And I hope, a lot of this, the whole goal of this website is to help give you information, educate you on investing in rental properties, and hopefully give you the confidence and inspire you to go out and do this on your own, because it really is such a great thing and can be a great asset to your financial future. So, without further ado, a couple things I just want to mention before I get started. On this page, I'm not going to be playing all of the videos or showing every single picture that's on here. If you want to go back to this page and take a look at it and look at those things on your own, then you can go to www.rentalrookie.com/renovation. Again, that's www.rentalrookie.com/renovation. I'm including the link to this webpage in the email where you actually received from me with this video, so you can take a look at that. The link will be there, so if you didn't get a chance to write down that web address or you just forget it, it will be in the email, so check back there. Like I said, I'm not going to be showing you every single video or clicking on every single picture. I'm going to let you do that at your own leisure, but I am going to just kind of walk you through and give you some extra information on our recent rehab that we did. But before we start, the one video that I am going to show you is the one that's right over here, and this was our initial walkthrough of the property. Now, this is a property that my husband and I own. We bought it in, let's see, January of 2013. It was January 2013, and so we've had it for, over a year now, and our tenants had moved out a couple of months ago. And so, when we bought the property, and you'll hear this in the video, we knew that we were going to be doing some updates to it eventually, but we just wanted to get it rented. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let you watch this video. Pay attention to just the look of the property, the wear, the tear, because at the end, and at the end of this webpage, you'll see a lot of after pictures of things that we did, and renovations and new flooring and paint and all those sorts of things, so that you can kind of see the transformation of the property. And then we'll get to talk about numbers and how, just putting in a little bit of time and money and effort enabled us to yield more rent, which then, is more cash flow and more money in our pocket. So I'm going to go ahead and let you watch this video, and then I'll talk a little bit more about it afterwards. Go ahead and put it on full screen. Hi everyone, I'm Emily Duplessis with Rental Rookie, and today we are at a property that my husband and I own. We've owned it for about a year and a half now, and our tenants have just moved out. So what I want to do is walk you through, show you a realistic portrayal of what is something that you can potentially expect when you have tenants move out. Now, we were actually supposed to meet them about an hour ago for their final walkthrough, but they didn't show, which can sometimes happen. And as a result of them not showing, they left us a key, thank goodness, on the oven, but you will see that the property was not left in the greatest shape after they left, hence probably why they didn't show up for the walkthrough. So if you can kind of come through. Now, I should say before I even get started that when we bought the property a year and a half ago, we knew that it needed some work that we decided to not do. We decided to get it rented as soon as possible and just start getting some cash flow. Because we are making about a 25-26% ROI on the property, we decided to get it rented for a year or more, depending on if the tenant stayed, collect that cash flow, and then be able to reinvest that cash flow back in it whenever we would make the updates. So, walking through, you can see that they did not leave it in the greatest shape. Marks on the walls, there are some stains on the floor. The blinds, obviously, are dirty. So you can see that they didn't leave it in the greatest shape. Don't mind our daughter. One thing, you can still be a mom and a wife and still a real estate investor. You just bring them along and they sleep. So some of the things that you may expect to find when they don't clean up after themselves: broken lights. If we come into the kitchen, probably one of the worst rooms in the entire property, but you can see that the floors have been left a total disaster. Luckily the cabinets aren't in too bad of shape, the countertops aren't in too bad of shape, which is nice. Although appliances, things will need to be cleaned. And again, you know, one of our expectations that we told them was to leave in order to get their security deposit back, was that they needed to clean the property. Now, one of the mistakes that we made, and I'm going to share that tip with you, is that we also had some issues with them paying late multiple times throughout the course of the last year and a half. And in our lease, one of the clauses that we have states that they pay a fee, a daily fee, for every day that their rent payment is late. And so after everything was added together and all the times that they were late, they had surpassed their security deposit. Now, we had said to them prior to our walkthrough that they were not going to get their security deposit back. So, in a sense, in hindsight's 2020, my husband and I have already talked about the lesson that we learned, that next time, even if we're not going to return the security deposit before we see the property, we're not going to say anything, because had they maybe thought that they were going to get their security deposit back, or some of it, they may have left the property in a better condition. You can see that they obviously didn't take the time at all to clean up anything, which was something that we had stated they needed to do if they wanted to get their security deposit back. Taking a look at the bathroom, actually out of the entire place, the bathroom is probably one of the better rooms. The vanity's still in good condition, the toilet's still in good condition. We're obviously going to rip the floors up and put new ceramic tile down. You can notice some of the issues with the stripping on the bottom, some of the chipping away up top with the drywall that we'll have to do some fixes there, get some recaulking in. So some minor fixes in here, nothing that's too hard. We come through here, we can see we have some issues with the doors. They made some dents, some holes in there. So you can replace them, or there are some tricks for fixing doors. And so if you wanted to save some money, you can go online and find some tricks to save you some cash instead of having to replace the whole door. But in here, you know, we'll be ripping up the carpet, putting in new carpet, cleaning the walls, getting new blinds put in, and everything is going to have fresh coat of paint by the time we're done with it. And we walk into the last room, the master bedroom. Same thing here, new paint on the walls, new carpets, new blinds. We're going to fix and get new paint and get new doorknobs. One of the things that we noticed, this wasn't here before, is the crack over here in the corner. Something like this that may be potentially structural, you may want to ask your neighbor to see if anybody has something like that. We talked to the neighbor who lives next door, and she said that she has the same thing. And so that's something that we'll have to, now that we've noticed it, get somebody in here and get that checked out to make sure there aren't any leaks or anything like that on the outside coming in. Everyone, we just finished the walkthrough at our property. I hope that you enjoyed kind of seeing a realistic portrayal of what you can expect when you take a plunge into buy and hold properties. We're going to be updating it in the next couple of weeks, and so we'll be doing a walkthrough after we go through and fix everything so that you can see the before and after. And then we'll be up in the rent and taking more cash to the bank. All right, so there you saw just a brief walkthrough of the property. I know the quality of the video is not as great as it probably could be, you know, hence using an iPhone. We don't get the best quality in terms of video, but at least it gives you an idea of, you know, what our property looked like before we went through and did the cosmetic updates that we did. Now, granted, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, when we think about the way that tenants can leave a property, it really wasn't that bad. We did allow a dog in this situation, which we don't normally allow pets in our properties. But because we knew that we would be renovating and doing some fixes in the property when that group of tenants moved out, or that couple moved out, we decided, hey, what the heck, let's let them have the dog. We're going to get it rented faster. You know, they gave us a refundable pet deposit that we were able to then put into using to help replace carpets. So there was just a really musty odor in there as well. With, it was amazing that when we got the carpets up and out and when we had a fresh coat of paint on there, just the change in smell of the property from having the dog in there. So that, is something that we decided to allow, in the sense of we knew we were going to be doing some updates. We figured, hey, what the heck, we might as well let them have the dog because we're going to be redoing and pulling up the carpets anyways. So, starting on to looking at the step-by-step process, there are 5 steps that my husband and I go through whenever we're walking through or deciding whether or not we are going to renovate a property. So the first thing that we do is a walkthrough, which is, the video that you just saw. Whenever we do a walkthrough, the first thing that we take a look at are the cosmetic things like flooring and molding and paint, the appliances, what do the light fixtures look like, what does the hardware, what do the doorknobs look like, what do the light switches look like, what about the light plates, the sockets, outlets, those sorts of things. We pay attention to all of those little pieces, and those are really, anybody can see those. Anybody with, you don't really need a trained eye to walk in and pay attention to those things. But those are the first things that we take a look at whenever we're looking at a property to either buy or we're going in to see if we need to do any updates to our own properties. After we take a look at those and account for any of those things that need to be taken care of, then we start to pay attention to the bigger, more expensive items. These are what I like to call the skeletal items. They really are kind of the skeleton of a property. They make up really the bones of what is in a property. And those are things like windows and the roof, the heating system, air conditioning, the hot water tank, furnace, siding, plumbing, electrical, all of those sorts of things that, to rookie investors, a lot of times those are the things that might be overlooked. You walk into a property, and when you're just starting out as an investor, when you walk in, it's hard to not let the emotional side of buying come into play. One of the things when we go and we buy a personal residence, a lot of times, yes, we pay attention to, the skeletal issues, but a lot of it is on the emotion. And when you're investing in rental property, one of the things that I have to tell you is that you have to be able to separate the emotion from the numbers, because when you're buying and you're looking for a return and you're paying attention to positive cash flow and those sorts of things, you have to be buying based off of numbers and not based off of emotion. And so, as a rookie investor, these are some of the things that are going to cost you a lot of money. And so that when you're going to look at a property, let's say you're looking at 2 properties, property A, property B. Property A maybe only needs some cosmetic fixes, but all of the, skeletal pieces of the property are fine. Property B looks amazing. The cosmetic, end of it is beautiful. There, new flooring and new paint, new appliances, all those sorts of things. But then you start to look at the skeletal things. You look at the heating system. You look at the hot water tank. The windows are old and the roof is old. Those things are going to add up and cost you a lot more money. So if you're deciding between property A and property B, I probably would go with property A, where all of the skeletal pieces are new and have been updated, and maybe I just have to slap $4 or $5 grand into fixing up the cosmetic areas of the house. Because if you would buy property B that has the great cosmetic finishes but the rough skeletal pieces, a roof could cost you $5,000 to $7,000, and that's just one piece of it. So as a rookie investor, you really need to pay attention to the cosmetic aspect of a house and the skeletal aspect of the house. Now, when we were walking around this townhouse, we checked out all of those major items. And when we bought the property, we knew that the HVAC system was kind of old and it was going. And so when we went back to the property now, 14, 15 months later, that was something that we really were focusing on and noticed that it was kind of hardly working. So what we did was we called a local service company. They came in, they inspected us, and they were like, yes, this needs to be replaced. It's, barely working. And so as investors, the first thing that comes to mind is going, oh, no, dollar sign, dollar sign, dollar sign, dollar sign. Those things are expensive. However, when we bought the property, and this is a tip for rookie investors, when we bought the property, we had also purchased a home warranty. And so the home warranty, whenever the thing about a home warranty is that you have to have it, you have to talk to your realtor, and you have to have it all kind of set and ordered and done by the time you reach closing, because after you close on a property, you can't go back and buy a home warranty. All of this has to be done before you get to the closing table. Now, when we did that, we bought the home warranty, we were set, we had that for the first year. After the first year, since we had a home warranty, we were able to extend it and take it on for another year, which we chose to do knowing that this property was going to need a little bit of work, and that some of the skeletal pieces were a little bit old and aging. And so whenever we a couple of months ago went in and we were working through this renovation. The local serviceman came in, said it needed to be, we needed to get a brand new system. We automatically called our home warranty company, talked to them about it. He recommended to the home warranty company that we get a new system, that we really needed, that this one's, pretty much not working. And at the end of the day, it only cost us $450 for getting a brand new HVAC system that actually cost $6,500. And so that saved us. You can take a look right here. I have an article posted on the blog. If you're interested in it, you can click on the link and it'll take you right to it. But this one thing saved me $6,050. And so one of the things to think about when you're investing in rental properties, is should I get this home warranty? When you're looking at those skeletal issues, if you're noticing that, the hot water tank's looking old, there might be some issues with electrical, the roof might be bad, talk to your real estate agent about getting a home warranty, because that can really save you a lot of money. So, as I kind of digress there talking about the home warranty, here are some of the pictures that we took from the walkthrough. So not only do we take video whenever we're doing our initial walkthrough, but we also take a lot of pictures. Having both of those elements can really help later on down the road if you rent the property out. It's nice to see the transformation from what a property was to what you've made it. And so we always take a lot of pictures whenever we are working on going to renovate a property. So, one of the things I just want to mention is as we're walking through the property, normally my husband has the camera and he's in charge of all of that, and I've got the spreadsheet and the notebook and I'm taking down notes. So as we're walking through, I'm saying, okay, the flooring's going to be needing replaced. We have the measuring tape with us. We take measurements of the floor. Okay, we're going to need new windows. Jot that down. We're going to need new blinds. Measure the windows. I have got measurements for that. We're going to need a new vanity. We're going to need a new toilet. All those sorts of things. I'm keeping a running list as we're walking through the property of those things. One of the things that I recommend is that you do that, because if you do a walkthrough through a property, and even if it's a property that you're deciding whether or not to buy, it's important that you jot those things down for step 2 whenever you're actually building the estimate. Because when you're going to invest in a property that maybe is going to require you to put some cash into it up front in order to get it to, a rentable level, or get it to, a level in which you feel comfortable renting it, that money that you're going to be putting in up front is going to factor into your ROI. So one of the things that you're going to want to do is, if you're walking through a property and you are interested in it, take note of these things. That way you can build an estimate and you can get an idea of how much it's going to cost you to actually go in and update and renovate the property. That way you can include that in your actual analysis when you're deciding whether or not, number-wise, this is a good property for you to buy. So I can't recommend it enough. The last thing you want to do is walk into a property and try to just take mental notes of all of these things. And then you get home later that day or the next day and you're sitting down and you're trying to remember all of the things that are going to need to be fixed in there. You're going to forget a lot of things because it's overwhelming and there are so many little details that you're going to want to mark down. So I recommend when you do the walkthrough that you're jotting down, not only are you taking pictures, not only are you taking video, but you're also making a running list of the things that you're going to need to update. Next, step 2, building the estimate. All right, this is the nitty-gritty part. Some people love it, some people hate it. I actually happen to enjoy this part of it. One of the things that I want to mention, though, is that if you're going to contract out, if you're going to have, most of the work done by a contractor or things like that, or a project manager, a lot of times that person is going to take care of this section. If you bring in a contractor and you're walking through together saying, I want all of these things done, the contractor most of the time is going to come up with the estimate itself. However, if you're trying to do a lot of the renovation on your own, or you're trying to save some money, you're going to have to build that estimate yourself, which is the way that my husband and I go. We are trying to keep as much money in our pockets as possible. So the more work that we can do, and we enjoy this work. We like investing in rental properties, and we like, going in and doing a lot of the work and being able to see the transformation and knowing that we had a hand in that. And so we ourselves build the estimate. But you can't build the estimate if you're planning on doing this yourself unless you take or make that list of things that need to be fixed from your walkthrough. What I do is I take that list that I created from the walkthrough, and you can do a couple of things. Sometimes I'll go right to, places like Home Depot or Lowe's, and I'll have my, my spreadsheet, and I'll have my pen, and I'll have pictures, and I'll just go through and I'll spend a couple of hours walking through the store and jotting down prices and quantities and, those sorts of things. Other times, life's a little bit different now with a little baby. I've had to sit up at night just online and looking online on some of those websites and just getting some price estimates. Not to say that that's going to be 100%, I'm definitely going to get that product, or I'm definitely going to get that product, and at the end of the day, when I run all those numbers, that's our exact number in terms of renovation, but it at least gives us an idea to say, hey, this is going to cost around $4,000, or this is going to cost around $7,000. So when we're running our analysis, we have an idea of how much cash we're going to have to put up front that ultimately is going to affect our actual ROI. So like I said, you can't build the estimate unless you actually have the checklist that you used whenever you're walking through the property. So I can't stress that enough that you want to make sure that you do that. If you are looking at products online or in the store and you realize that there are going to be some jobs that you're going to have to contract out, right? Like I said, my husband and I try to do a lot of the renovations on our own. However, we're human, and we realize that we've been able in a couple of cases to realize what our limits are in terms of renovating. And so sometimes you're going to have to contract some work out, and that's great, because I can tell you right now that it feels great to leave a property and have, no paint on the walls and come back and it be all painted, and it's such a great feeling. And so in this particular renovation, we contracted out 3 jobs. Now, if you decide, I want to contract out plumbing and I want to contract out electrical, but I don't know where to turn, I would turn first to your real estate agent. They work in this field. They have a lot of contractors that they work with that they can refer. The best way to get somebody that you trust, and that, contractors can be a tough area in terms of reliability. But if you get your real estate agent to give you a referral, they're telling you somebody that they trust and that they've worked with before, and hopefully that things will work out for you. If not, there's lots of places online that you can turn. You can do a Google search, you can go to Angie's List, there's lots of places that you can turn to for contracting out. But for this property, we contracted out 3 jobs: carpet, paint, and tile. Now, besides that, all the other jobs that were done, and I'm going to kind of talk about that later on, all the other jobs that were done by either my husband, myself, my father-in-law. He helps out a lot, and little baby Molly was what we called our project manager. So on the website, you'll see that you can actually download the spreadsheet that we use through the process to let us see where our final numbers and our final budget were. So what I'm going to do is I am going to pull that up. I'm not going to talk about it all that much right now. See, open link in new tab. Perfect. But I will talk about it here in a little bit later on down the road so that you can actually see the spreadsheet that we use. So, like I said, in this case, we contracted out 3 jobs. The rest of the work was done on our own. So here we go, shopping, step number 3. This is also a fun part, at least for me, because I enjoy shopping, even for home products, not just clothes and shoes. But we go and buy most of the supplies on our own. Again, having that list is so extremely important, and this goes back to that walkthrough list that I talked about in step 1. When you go to the store, you're going to want to have kind of one of those big shopping trips where you have your entire list. It's got all the items that you need, how many units of that product that you need, possible prices. You're going to want to go to the store and make one big shopping trip where you're getting most of those things, because let me tell you something. In our first property that we bought, we had to go in. It was a HUD home, a condo. We had to go in, and because it was a HUD home, it was been through foreclosure, it needed some work. And so it was our first property. We had to do some renovating, and we didn't necessarily do one big shopping trip. And so what ended up happening was we would do a bunch of little ones, and we would get into a project and realize, oh no, we need to go get this, or oh no, we need to go get that. And so as a result of having all of these little shopping trips, it ended up eating into our actual work time. So when we did this renovation, we said, okay, we are going to make one big master list. We're going to make one massive shopping trip where we spend, an hour or 2 at the store. We're going through, we're making sure that we're getting everything. We're going to take it to the property, leave it there. That way, we hopefully will not have to make 1,000 little trips that end up ultimately eating into our work time. So in this, instance, when we did this renovation, we did not have to go to the store as often. Now, there's always going to be little things that come up when you're working on a property that you didn't see coming. You get into fixing something on the wall, or an issue with the door, or anything like that, and you need to go get something, and that's fine. We just keep a list on the fridge of, all right, we ran into an issue, we need to go to the store and get this, we need to go to the store and get that. But if you can have that list, build your estimate, you know how many items or quantity numbers that you're going to need of a product, when you go do this massive shopping trip, it's going to end up saving you a lot of time in the long run, because you're not going to have to keep going to the store, which is ultimately going to eat into your work time. And as a rookie investor, my husband and I still have full-time jobs, and so a lot of the renovating that we do happens on the weekends. As rookie investors, you're probably in the same boat. You probably have a full-time or part-time job, and so you're doing this on the side, you're doing this at night, you're doing this on the weekends. Your time is valuable. So the last thing that you want to be doing is spending a ton of time going to the store time and time and time again. One of the other tips I want to give you, a rookie tip, is that whenever you're doing all of this shopping, make sure that you're keeping your receipts. You're going to want to create a spreadsheet at the end of your renovation, or even while you're working on the renovation, not only of just all of the products and the quantities and the prices, so that you know at the end how much you spent on the renovation, but also when it comes to tax time, you're going to want to have evidence or a record of where you spent your money and how you spent it, and that can end up helping you later on down the road with taxes. So if you want a little bit more information about that, there's an article here that you can click, and it will take you to about what you need to know for next year in terms of what are the things that you're going to have to keep and think about when it comes to taxes. All right, step number 4, get to work. This is the nitty-gritty part also, in terms of this is where the manual labor comes in. If you're using somebody who, a contractor or something like that, you probably can pretty much skip this section and go ahead, because you're not going to need to pay that much attention to it. In terms of us, we do a lot of the work on our own. And so, we basically spent about 5 weekends working on this project. So, when all is said and done, maybe 10 to 15 days total that we spent working on this renovation that was basically cosmetic. We had a couple things that we had to fix in terms of wall and things like that, but it was basically a cosmetic uplift. Like I said earlier, we had contractors complete all of the painting. They painted everything floor to ceiling. So they were painting the molding, the trim, the walls, the doors, the ceiling, everything. Everything got a total recoloring, which was great. Like I said, it helped with the smell of the property. We did a nice neutral beige color on the wall with white trim, because we got a kind of darker brown beigeish carpet. We went kind of with the beige tone. In our property, in the condo that we renovated, we kind of stuck with, we put in laminate flooring that was like a nice dark color with gray walls. And so just depending on this color scheme of the property, but we always like to do the contrasting colors with the white trim versus the painted walls, just because we do feel that it gives a nice look. It's a nice clean look for the property and for your tenants. Tenants are going to come in and they're going to want to rent based off of cosmetic issues. We as investors, we want to buy based off of cosmetic and based off of the skeleton issues. But when a tenant comes in, they don't care about the hot water tank, and they don't care about the furnace, and they don't care about the windows, because that's not their concern. They want a property that's going to look nice, that's going to be clean. And so if you can give them that by doing little things like making the trim and the walls have contrast of color, it's a little thing that can actually end up going a long way. We also had carpet installed upstairs. So up the stairs we had carpet put in, and then in the 2 bedrooms upstairs we had that done by Lowe's. Like I said, we chose a darker color, hoping that that would maybe hide a little bit of the wear and the tear and the dirt for down the road. One of the things that we know about carpet is that you end up having to, switch that out fairly often. So, with that in mind, you don't want to go and buy maybe necessarily super high-end carpet, because remember, these tenants that come in, they don't own this home. And so the pride that they're going to take in it, we hope is if we put together a good property that they're going to take pride in it, but you never know. And so one of the things that you have to realize is that when tenants come in, you don't want to necessarily spend a ton of money on putting in high-end carpet, because the long and the short of it is, in a couple of years, you're probably going to have to replace it. So far we've had the paint that was put in and the carpet that was put in. We also contracted out the ceramic tile. Now, we learned in our first property when we tried to do the ceramic tile ourselves, even when we just tried to lay it out, before you even were thinking about grout and cement and all that other stuff, my husband and I realized as we were just laying it out to kind of practice where we were going to put everything, that it was going to be way beyond our capabilities. And so, in our first property, we contracted out ceramic tile, and we knew straight away with this property that, we're going to let's not even try to go there. We're just going to contract out for the ceramic tile. We like to put ceramic tile down because it is durable. And, it's one of those things where it may cost a little bit more money in terms of, when you're thinking about vinyl and things like that. But at the end of the day, the ceramic tile is going to hold up longer than the vinyl. And so I would rather pay a little bit more right off the bat for something that's going to last a little bit longer, and tenants are going to like that better than the vinyl. So those were the three things that we contracted out. In terms of the projects that we did, there's a picture of me working on some of the electrical and the sockets right there. But over here is a project of the things that we did. And so, a lot of these things are very, in terms of projects, they're not hard projects and they're little things, but at the end of the day, they're little touches and finishes that really help a property look nice and clean for a tenant. And so putting in new light fixtures in all of the rooms in the house. We put in new outlets and plates, so we actually do a little bit of electrical work ourselves where we, have to turn off all the breakers and things like that, pull off all the old outlets, check the electrical for, grounds and things like that. We put in all brand new outlets, all brand new plates, brand new light switches. We ended up putting new screen doors on the front and the back of the property. The back exterior door in the kitchen that led to the little kind of back deck that's there in the storage unit that's outside. Actually had some issues where I don't even know how to explain it. The bottom of the door had almost been like eaten away there must have been a way that there was rain getting into it, and so the bottom of the door, the interior of it, had kind of all rotted out. And so we ended up having to replace that exterior door, which in turn, one of the videos that you'll see further down on this page is a video of my father-in-law who was helping my husband whenever they were going in and replacing the exterior door. As they were taking it away, the rain the door was not then keeping out because of the issues with the bottom of it was leaking into the house, and so they actually ended up having to replace some of the subfloor before we could even put the ceramic tile down. So that ended up being something that we weren't expecting. We always talk about when we're renovating, coming across projects that you're not expecting. That was one of the things that we, was a, whoa, we got to take care of this before we can even get that contractor in here. And so, we reached out to our father-in-law, and he was able to come and help, my husband replace that subfloor so that we were getting all of that ready for the ceramic tile, and then they could actually then put in the new exterior door. Things like new floor vents, new door handles, new blinds, new house numbers on the outside, all the new outdoor lighting, and like I said, the new subfloor by the exterior door. So you can see here's a picture of my father-in-law. They actually had to cut a hole, and you'll see more so in the video, but they actually had to cut a hole in the floor and put down some new subfloor there before we could even, get the contractors in there to work with the vinyl. And so his help was always so great because he's done a lot of work on houses in the past, and so he's able to come in and help us. That way, like I said, we're able to keep money in our pocket, Now, I understand as a rookie investor, you're probably looking at this list and going, oh my God, I don't even know where to start. And honestly, that's what I was thinking too a couple of years ago when we even started down this road. I mean, I knew nothing about any of this, and if you've read any of the things on the blog or the about page, I grew up in a family of teachers. I am a teacher. That's my day job. I love teaching, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to start this website, because I went from knowing absolutely nothing about rental property to knowing quite a bit about it. By no means am I a guru, and by no means am I an expert. This website is very much and the podcast that's going to be launching soon is really a place for me to learn as well. I want to learn from other people, and so I can only help myself as well in this process, but I want to help teach those of you who are on the fence and saying, I really want to start down this road, but I just don't know where to start. Or, I want to go down this road, but I'm scared to death because I don't know anything about it. I knew nothing about property. I knew nothing about financing. I knew nothing about, rehabbing or anything like that. And, you just have to dive in. You have to learn. You have to be committed to being able to educate yourself, and you have to not be scared to just jump in and try it. And I hope that, this video and the posts on the website and the podcast episodes that are going to be coming up soon, I really hope that you're able to be, learning a little bit. You don't have to be coming in and learning a ton of information because that's overwhelming, but if you can learn a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit here, that ultimately is going to help you take that plunge. That's what my goal is. I want you to do that. So understand that, do a little bit at a time. If you look at a list like this and you're saying, okay, I could do door handles and blinds and house numbers and, maybe screen doors, but I don't even want to go near all the electrical with the light fixtures and the light switches, then that's fine. In your first property, just focus on those things. Maybe you can do the painting on your own. In our first property, we did the painting on our own, which was fine because we both have experience painting, but it's a lot of work. And so, as you go through, you're going to realize, I would rather spend money on this area so that I can focus and put my hands and my work in another area. And that's fine. But understand that, you may start a project and realize that it's way beyond your capabilities, and that's okay. And that's when you reach out, and that's when you ask for help. And that's okay. And that's how you learn. You just have to jump right in. And so if you're interested in thinking about DIY renovations and things like that, check out our article here that kind of will give you some information on our experiences with, doing things ourselves. All right, so you did your walkthrough, you built your estimate, you actually went in and did the work, you went shopping, and now it's all done, it's completed, you're so happy, it's transformed. But you can't really enjoy it until you get that tenant in there and until you take checks to the bank. So step 5 is list it and rent it. Once you get that renovation and it's almost even nearly complete, I would go ahead and start that listing process. Take pictures. Whenever you're taking pictures, make sure there's good lighting, and you want to take pictures of the strengths of the property. Make sure you're taking pictures of things like the kitchen. People want to know what a kitchen looks like, so you want to make sure that you're taking pictures of those. Take pictures of the bathroom. Take pictures of the master bathroom. If you've got some nice features like a nice back deck or a nice front deck, make sure that you're taking pictures of those. You want to illustrate the strengths of the property. When it comes to deciding on a rental amount, I hear a lot from followers on the blog about, I don't really know I don't know how to figure out what to rent it for. One of the things that you want to do, it's just like when you buy a house. When you buy a house, agents or yourself are going to look up, what are other houses selling for near me that are similar to mine. You're going to do that same thing when it comes to rentals. You're going to look up rental comparables. Get on Realtor.com, RealityTrack, Redfin, any of those websites, Zillow, and just look up, what are local properties that are like mine renting for, and that's going to give you a little bit of an idea of what you should list your property for. Look at things like square footage, beds, baths, and then take a look at the pictures, because if your property might be similar to another property in terms of all of the data, but yours is way nicer because you just updated it, then you can charge a little bit more because it's updated as opposed to the other one. And so, but you want to start with taking a look at other local rental comparables that are close to you to give you an idea of where to start. Where to list it, places like Craigslist. We've had a lot of luck on Craigslist, Trulia, a lot, Zillow, Postlets. I know if you list on Trulia, you can syndicate with other listing agencies, so then you only have to list it in one place, but it'll go to a bunch of different places. And so, take a look at some of those places. Make sure that one of the other things to think about is if you're planning on managing your own property as well, which is what we do, we manage our own properties, that you will also have to set up times to show the property. And so, not only are you going to be taking pictures and coming up with a listing, but you're also going to have to think about setting up times to show the property as well. So when you get to this point, check out we have an infograph about 8 steps to get your property rented that gives you some information on all the things that you need to do when it comes to getting your property rented. So if you click on that link and take you there, it's an infograph, nice visual depiction of what you need to do to get your property rented. Just a little quick tip here before we take a look at the numbers. When you're going to show your property, one of the things that I like to do is to show the property. If you've got 3 or 4 people coming to look at it, stack those showings back to back and make it so that when one's coming, one is leaving, and so that people see that your property is in high demand, and they're going to know, that they're going to realize that they can't wait all day if they're really serious about the property. So that's one of the things that I like to do. Also, when you show the property, you're going to want to make sure that you have a rental application ready to give them if they're interested in it. You can find rental applications online at sites like LegalZoom or Easy Landlord Forms. If you click this link, it will take you to a page on my website that actually gives you information on downloading some of those documents that you're going to need to use. So take a look at that. All right, let's wrap this video up with taking a look at the post-renovation numbers. We bought the property for $75,000 back in January of 2013. We put $15,000 down. Our closing costs were about $2,000. Our previous rental rate for the other tenant was $850. The renovation that we just put in was a little over $5,000, and I have a spreadsheet that I'm going to show you quickly before we end the video. And we were able then, with the renovation, to up our current rental rate by $150. So now we're bringing in $1,000 a month gross rent from the property. Now, when we take a look at just sheer numbers, after the PITI, so mortgage payment, interest, taxes, and insurance, we're cash flowing $615 a month on this property. Now, granted, we do put a little bit of that money away for CapEx things, so later on down the road, some of those skeletal issues that may roof and windows and those sorts of things that may come up that, that we need to account for. We put maybe about 10% of that away for CapEx things. But when we're just looking at, the mortgage payment and insurance, PITI, those sorts of things, we're looking at cash flowing $615 a month, which is awesome. If you scroll down on the page, you'll see that there are some videos here that you can take a look at. I'm not going to show you today in terms of time. Post-renovation pictures, you can see, the new carpet, the walls that were painted. Here you can see the contrast of the trim and the paint, the new carpet, even the little things with the plates, new lighting, new ceramic tile. So I'm going to let you take a look at those pictures. If you liked this video, if you like this page, please share with others. It's all about getting this information out there to educate other people. So if you felt that you learned one thing from this video and from this webpage, I ask you to share it, with your friends and followers and hopefully other people out there who are interested in it as well. The last thing that I want you to take a look at is I pulled it up earlier, and it was our actual renovation expenses checklist. If you want to take a look at that, you can click on the link and it takes you to a place where you can put in your email address and you're able to download it. It's free. It's a 4-page document, and here you can see a quick little look at it. On this side, you'll see all of the products that we bought. Here you'll see the costs. There's a pie chart to show you percentage where our money breaks down for each of the different things, and the spreadsheet's broken down by room type. So you've got kitchen and bathroom. You've got basic things like fans and blinds and those sorts of things, manual labor, contracting things out. So I encourage you to download that spreadsheet. Like I said, it's free. All you got to do is put your email in, and it's going to give you some insight as to actually, where our money went in terms of the renovation. So I encourage you to take a look at that. Like I said, I hope this video, helps in terms of showing you what an actual cosmetic update looks like in terms of an actual rental property. I hope that this is inspiring you. I hope that it's empowering you so that you're able to see, it's a 5-step process. Now, granted, there's a lot to do in those 5 steps, but that's what we do. When we're going to, buy a property, and when we're going to even update a property that we have, this is the exact process that we go through. So I hope that this helped, and I hope that it's encouraging. Like I said, if you liked it and you learned something from it, I hope that you share it with your friends and followers. There are lots of links on there, so I encourage you to check out some of the articles that link to some of the issues that we talk about in this video. Other than that, happy investing!